97% of kids play video games, and over half of the top 50 best-selling video games contain some type of violence, whether it's cartoonish, fantasy, or realistic. Since video games were invented in the 1950s and 1960s, many people, especially parents and psychologists, wonder, do video games cause real-life violence? Some people's common sense tells them that video games cause violence. Others' common sense tells them that won't cause violence. What makes people think that video games cause violence? How are they good? There are many things I will talk about. While violent video game sales have increased, the percentage of high school students that were in at least one physical fight decreased from 43% in 1991 to 25% in 2013. While people have done mass shootings after playing violent video games, chances are very low because violent video games make millions, sometimes even billions of dollars. Like the 2013 bestseller Grand Theft Auto 5 made almost $2 billion. Also, there have been only 71 mass shootings between 1982 and August 2015, so the chances of a person doing a mass shooting after playing a violent video game are very low. Some also believe that lets out anger because 45.4% of boys said that video games help let out anger. They also believe they serve as a substitute for rough and tumble play. Most kids by age 7 can distinguish fantasy from reality and know they are just playing a game. Also, kids see fantasy all the time, from superheroes, minions, and cartoons, etc. Fantasy is also a major part of a child's development because it expands their creativity. Which there are games that do expand a person's creativity instead of telling them what to do all the time, such as Minecraft. A study published in Computers and in Human Behavior discovered that youth who got exposure to violence and action in video games displayed more civic engagement, which I find reasonable. For example, the hit Call of Duty series started as a World War II video game in 2003. Then 7 years later, Call of Duty Black Ops was released, and it takes place during the Cold War. Even the U.S. Surgeon General's list for youth violence include abuse of parents, neglect, and mental health problems, but not video games. Also, lots of time, people can be too busy playing these games than actually going out and doing those things in real life. Stephen Levitt, Ph.D. and economics professor at the University of Chicago, stated, "It just stands to reason that if you find an activity that keeps potential criminals busy for 6 waking hours a day, then it probably makes sense that they're going to be doing less crime." How are they good and bad at the same time? 60% of middle school boys and 40% of middle school girls that play at least one M or mature rated game hit or beat up a kid than the 39% of boys and 14% of girls who did not play M games. I know that may seem completely negative at first, but think about it this way. If the kid who got beat up was the kid who started the fight, then the kid who played the M game was just using self-defense, that is okay, but if the kid who played the M game started the fight, then that's not good. Real U.S. Marines have used violent video games to teach soldiers how to kill. If you're a soldier, you obviously need to learn your stuff, but if a person learns how to use a gun from a video game and does a mass shooting, that's not good at all. So if you need to learn how to use a gun to defend yourself or destroy firing targets at a gun arena, then that's fine. It's sometimes good. But then if you use them to get violent ideas or revenge, then they should not be played. Whenever a player wipes out a swarm or a wave of enemies, they usually get rewarded by unlocking new levels or get new weapons or gear. Lots of people say that's bad when they get rewarded for their violent acts, but think about it. Soldiers can get rewarded for killing, like during the Revolutionary War. When the U.S. fought the British, they obviously killed lots of them. Then their reward was they got their independence from Britain. Now I'll tell you what makes people think that video games cause violence. Video games often have players do violent actions such as shooting and stabbing. Carol Lieberman, MD, and a medical psychiatrist stated, "The more video games a person plays that have sexual violence content, the more likely one is to become desensitized to violent sexual acts and commit them." While psychologists aren't exactly sure how video games affect violence, many of them are convinced that there is a link to it. Games that have violence towards defenseless people have encouraged people to do real-life crime. There were 2 teenagers in Tennessee who shot at passing cars and killed one driver. Then they told the police that they got the idea from playing Grand Theft Auto 3. A well-known mass shooting was the one done by Anders Breivik in 2011. He said he used Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 to train on. So while there is no final answer if video games cause real-life violence or not, everyone's opinion makes lots of people confused on who and what to believe. I believe that just because video games can cause violence does not mean they will. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.